Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is going to be a quick lesson on where the lung channel is located on the body. It has occurred to me that interestingly, this SARS Corona 2 virus and the subsequent COVID-19 disease that results has a lot to do not only physically with the lung organ system as we know it from a Western perspective, but also with the lung acupuncture channel and all of its ruling systems as is understood by traditional Chinese medical theory. The lung and large intestine are the paired organs under the element of metal in Chinese medicine. And the metal element, the theme that is largely attributed to the metal element is the theme of letting go. If you think about the fact that your lungs, with every breath you take in air, you process it and then let it go, excrete what's not useful to you. The same goes with your large intestine, the other paired element under the metal, the other paired organ system under the metal element. The large intestine processes the excrement from the food you eat. You take the food in, you process it through your body, and then the large intestine excretes, lets go what's not useful to you. And on a larger scale, a global scale, we're really being challenged right now to let go of so many of the things that we identify with, that we rely on, that make us feel stable and secure. We have very little control over what's going on right now, and we're just going to have to ride it out to an extent. And while understanding where the lung channel is located on your body may not help you be less resistant to the virus, it might make you get less sick if you really started concentrating on working with the lung channel and trying to focus on achieving a good circulation of qi and blood through the channel. Theoretically, from a Chinese medicine perspective, people fall ill when there's imbalance. And so my hope is that perhaps this is something that could help you be stronger physically, but also perhaps give you some tools to help you process and let go of some of the anxieties and stresses that are just rampant right now. It's not an easy thing to do, and I've been experimenting with this for the last week, and I have found that working with this channel is really uncomfortable right now. It's not a feel-good meditation. However, my hope is that with perseverance and sticking with it, I'll be able to identify some of the discomforts, become more familiar with them, and let them release, let go of them, allow them to open up and dissolve under my attention. Now, what I'm going to teach you could be done with acupressure, with your fingers, if that's more comfortable to you. Many of you know that I really like to experiment with meditating on acupuncture points and trying to affect change that way. That was actually how I was originally taught to meditate. Being somewhat mentally busy, as I know many of you are, when I first started meditating, it was very difficult for me to just sit and try and empty my mind. It worked better for me to take my mind and put it into my body and use it to try and navigate some signals that my body might have been telling me, but that I had not taken the time to recognize. That meditation time became my ability to connect with my body in a deeper way and try and listen to some of the messages that were actually quite loud once I took the time to listen to them. And that proved really useful for me. And then through the years, I was able to graduate to having very deep experiences where my mind did feel empty and I felt extremely connected with nature and a larger existence, but a larger knowledge base. But you know, I still have days when that's hard for me to do, and it's all I can do to just try and connect with my body. So I'm assuming that all of you have downloaded the PDF that and that you have that with you. I'm not going to go through that verbatim. That will be fun for you to read as a separate document on your own. But there is a diagram in there, 2 diagrams I want to point out to you. Many of you have seen the cycle of the 5-element chart that we have in our clinic in all of the treatment rooms. The 5-pointed star is the way that Chinese medicine has traditionally represented the cycle of the 5 elements and their relationship to each other. What I want to specifically point out is that you can see where the metal element is in the lower right hand corner, and that it's in between earth and water. If you look at the generating cycle, which is the drawing a circle around the outer tip of the 5-pointed star, going clockwise, it shows you the generating cycle. And what this means is that from a traditional Chinese medicine theoretical perspective, earth is the mother of metal, and metal is the mother of water. Earth is the child of metal, and metal is the child of earth. So when locating the lung channel, I think it's useful to first start with locating some source points on the earth and water channels to ground us. They're located at the feet, and it can be a really good way to just ground into your body and begin with supportive points to nourish our ultimate goal, which is opening the metal channel. I also want to talk a little bit about what an acupuncture point is. This is also in the document, but if you are going to use your attention, or even if you're using acupressure, I want to point out that the goal ultimately is not always to affect the surface of the body. There's been a lot of talk through the centuries about what an acupuncture point actually is. And I want to emphasize that ultimately what we're trying to connect with is the space below the skin. So you can think of the skin, if you think of your body as a body of water, the skin would be the surface of the water. What we're really trying to affect is a little bit deeper into the body of water, or into our body. So there's an image that they often talk about, which is a gourd-like vessel where the opening is at the surface of the skin, and then the gourd extends deeper into the body and has kind of a round belly. It's a vessel that you can fill with qi, and it's connected to all the other points in the body. So when you're either using your attention or even using your fingers, try and think of the point that you're actually trying to connect with being a little bit deeper than just on the surface of the skin. I also want to take a minute just to go through the grounding breath that I often use to start my meditations with. And this, I think, can be especially useful right now, given the nature of what we're trying to do, which is encourage our body to be able to process and let go of things that are not serving us. The grounding breath that I start my meditations with starts with an intake through your nose for a count of 5. So 5. Hold it for a count of 20. Sometimes that can be a little bit difficult, especially if you have somewhat of a limited lung capacity, but do the best you can. Hold it for a count of 20, and then you exhale for a count of 10 through pursed lips. And when you're exhaling, it's really important that at this stage, if you do, towards the end of the count of 10, start to panic that you need more air, just relax. Have confidence that you're going to get the air you need. You are not going to die of oxygen deprivation in this moment. Just let it go. Have faith. Continue to exhale, hold it, and then after the count of 10, kind of sit there, and there's often a moment of kind of like some activity that feels like it's happening out in front of your body. Take your next inhale in what seems comfortable and relaxed. And often that is the moment when I really connect with my body, that I really start to feel things opening up and things releasing. So I think that that moment of having confidence and trust in your body, that your body is going to give you what it needs, and don't panic that you're going to suffocate because you're not. There's something that seems to override your sympathetic nervous system in that moment and really switches you into parasympathetic. So I think that's an important moment for beginning the meditation. And sometimes it takes me 3 or 4 times of doing the breath and completely to get to that moment where I feel the switch, and then I really feel like I'm able to go on to the next stage of my meditation. So if you could sit in a chair that's comfortable for you, with your back somewhat straight, use a supporting pillow behind you if you need to, feet square on the floor and hands flat in your lap with your palms down on the top of your legs. Just make sure you're comfortable. And if you could take a moment to locate on the diagram of the lung channel the points that I outlined on the feet. We're going to look at kidney 3 and spleen 3, KD 3 and SP 3. These are the source points of the kidney and spleen channels, the water and earth channels that we talked about wanting to connect with before getting started on activating the lung channel, just to use as grounding elements and to make sure that the points on either side of the lung are open and grounded and just activated. So first, let's do the spleen channel, the spleen 3. So if you go to the inside of your foot, run down the outside of your toe, and you'll see that there's a bone right at the base of your toe where the dorsum of your foot starts. And it's often where people get bunions. It's that bone that sticks out a little bit. The spleen 3 is just on the inside of that bone. So the point on the top of the bone, not the top, but the it would be called distal, that's more distant from you, from the center of your body, that's spleen 2. And the point that's proximal, that's closer to you, is spleen 3. So you can touch the inside of the foot on both sides if that works for you, or you can just sit with your attention in that point and do a couple of deep breaths. And really, you can almost feel like you're breathing into that point. That can be really effective. I'll give you a minute to do that. Now let's move on to kidney 3. And that's going to move up the inside of your foot to the space just behind your medial ankle, which means the ankle on the inside of your leg. It's the indention between that ankle and the Achilles tendon. So it usually feels a little bit sensitive. Many of you have been needled there by me. And I want you to just set your attention there for a moment. And then if you could bring your attention up the inside of your body, you can move slowly and rest at your belly button, your umbilicus. And you can either put your hand in front of your belly button, or set your attention there. And then next, after you feel like you've connected with that, bring your attention down into your lower abdomen to connect with the large intestine, the paired point of the lung under the umbrella of the metal element. And then you can bring your energy back up through your navel and go up the center of your body until you reach your chest. And now I'm going to try and show you. You want to really, at this point, let your energy expand into your chest, both sides. If you're using your hands, you can place your hands over your chest. And here, when you take deep breaths in, you can think about expanding your chest laterally and opening up your shoulder blades and back, really filling your chest cavity out. So breathing in and exhaling, really letting it collapse. And next, on both sides, we're going to go all the way out to the lateral end of your clavicle, and then down one. You'll feel a little bump there. That's your rib cage, your first rib. So we're going to go just underneath that. That's the first point on the lung channel. So you can touch that with your fingers or just sit there with your intention. And again, we really want to just observe with our mind how this is feeling. Don't judge it. You can always come back to it. The goal is for this not to be something that you do just once, but something that you can experiment with, and things will change over time. So then from the first point on the lung channel, it goes back up to that indention just at the lateral tip of your clavicle. That's lung 2. And then we're going to go out and we're going to slowly travel down the bicep to your elbow crease. And you want to go, let's see if I can show this to you. There's a tendon here, and you want to be on the thumb side of the tendon. You wouldn't be over here. But this here is lung 5. We've skipped a couple of points. We're just going to focus on connecting with the most important ones. So lung 5. And you don't have to have your arm up like this, obviously. This is just for demonstration. So you want to connect with that point, see how that feels. You can place your finger there or just keep your attention there. And then you're going to continue up that side of your arm, your forearm, and you're going to end here at the wrist. Again, on the thumb side, the inside of the arm. This is the yin side, this is the yang side. We're working with the yin. The lung is the yin organ, large intestine is the yang. So we're gonna remain here for a moment. And if you're touching yourself there, you might be able to feel your radial pulse. Radial meaning the side of the thumb. Now this is lung 9. This is the source point of the lung channel, which means that activating this point strongly activates the entire channel. So if you were ever wanting to just do a quick connection with the lung channel, you can just go straight to this point, lung 9. Then we're going to extend up the thenar eminence, lung 10, to the inside tip of the thumbnail, right here, lung 11. That's the last point on the lung channel. And you can, if you're using your fingers, you can kind of dig your nail in there just a touch and make it stimulate. And that's it. I went through that a little bit quickly. If you're meditating, ideally you would take as much time as you need. But I didn't want to make this a really long video for you. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, most of you will have my email address. You can always email me at jen@highlandholistic.com to ask questions, or if you want to talk about some things that might have come up for you. The color of the lung channel is white. So if you like working with color and bringing color into your meditation, you could try focusing on the color white through the course of it. And the color of the earth element, when we're down here in the belly, is a really warm yellowish amber color. So sometimes that can be a nice place to end your meditation. You can go back to the belly and just think about an amber color, a warm golden yellow, and sit with that there. That's usually how I like to end my sitting practice. And I think that's about it. If you enjoyed this and you want to make a donation, there's a link on your PDF that will take you to a secret donation page on my personal website, jblackacupuncture.com. And, that's appreciated. I hope you're all doing well, and I look forward to seeing you all again in person soon. Okay.